music, YouTube, Facebook, and so on. So today, I stand here at the crossroads of education and immigration, wearing multiple hats. On one hat, I do what I've always been doing. I teach ESL students. I offer online, French classes, to students who need that help. I also help students prepare for the university and college applications. On the other hand, after my business has evolved to adapt to the new post-COVID world, I help graduates apply for a post-graduation work permit and give them advice on how they can be a permanent resident and so on. My dual roles as an entrepreneur in education field, that's a new term, entrepreneur, and an RCIC have allowed me to serve broader population. Diversifying offerings helps me reduce my risk. On a final note, I have the following recommendations. Yes, sorry, next is first. Yeah. On a final note, I have the following recommendations, the following advice that I would like to share with you, reflecting on my experience in the past few years. First of all, utilize your partnership or collaboration that can amplify your remarketing efforts. Say, for example, when you do this, you can share resources and audiences. Say, for example, like how I work with Mississauga Chinese Business Association, and also you can provide value-added services. So like my English language students, they don't just come to me for English instruction. They also come to me for advice on Canadian studies, for study permit application, and later, as I said, how to apply for permanent residency. Content, collaboration. I've noticed, when you publish a social media post, don't be shy to add hashtags. These are content collaboration. Like when I publish social media posts related to MCBA, I'll always, add hashtag, MCBA, because this way we're collaborating, in our social media content. Data sharing with consent, with mutual consent, and ensuring compliance with privacy law, that is also encouraged, but I'm not going to touch on that because that can be controversial. Number 2, uniting with other stakeholders in your industry. Say, for example, I have partnerships with other immigration consultants. Why do I do that? Aren't they my competitors? No, there are areas I am good at, like education, international education. But there are some other areas they are good at. Some of my colleagues are good at business immigration. They are good at sponsorship. They are good at dealing with spousal sponsorship with a lot of divorces, say for example, or refusals. So we work together collaboratively for the community of Canadian newcomers. So when you do that, as I've listed here, you can provide holistic service offering. Say for example, I have partnerships with real estate agents and brokers. So when potential new immigrants come to me to ask for my advice, I can say, hey, do you need to look for a new property, a new house? You need somewhere to live, right? I have some brokers, I have some agents to introduce to you. You probably need to buy insurance, right? Auto insurance. I have got some friends to introduce to you. Create a community where we can all support each other. So I do not work alone. And also extended reach. What we can do alone is very limited. But when we work together as a community, I can reach people that you can't reach. You may find it hard to reach students who want to come here and study. But I have a lot of network, with Asian institutions. We can work together. Shared expertise, well, that's self-explanatory. Those of you, in real estate, in insurance, in HR, parents, who are new here, they need to look for jobs, right? And community building. In conclusion, there is one message to take away for you today. In the resilience, and that's the resilience of the human spirit. Humans have evolved for 200,000 years. In that time, we have developed the ability to adapt to almost any situation. And COVID is just one of them. The challenges of COVID-19 have only strengthened our collective strength to adapt, innovate, and thrive. Sometimes the world needs a crisis, turning challenges into opportunities. Don't lose faith. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. Is there any questions for Ramon? Yeah.
Yes. Does she need a mic? Yes.
Thank you so much for your thank you so much for your sharing. I also have experience in terms of global education. For the past several years, I was teaching in China University, so I have direct reflection towards your topic. Okay? My question for you is that due to the dramatic change in the past several years, what do you feel about, since you're in Canada right now, what do you feel about the major difference between the education back in East Asia, for example, Hong Kong, and the education here? The question I ask that because I feel the competitiveness in terms of Canadian education system is not that strong right now in terms of the global market. I mean, well, of course, because we immigrant here, we want to connect East and West Canada and all of that. But is that difficult? Is that challenging for you to do that? I mean, you are much more experienced in here. I hope to have a little conversation with you to learn more about that.
Okay, maybe I can say something about it. Thank you so much for your question. So I think basically you're trying to say like, how do I sell Canadian education, right, to the Asian markets? That's a very good question. For your information, I used to live in Australia. Okay, so when I talk about Canadian education system, I've got a lot to say. Well, so first of all, what are the major English-speaking countries? The UK, America, Canada, Australia. Okay, I don't want to like look down on any countries, right? But I would say Canada is one of the safest English-speaking countries. Okay, this is very important to parents. I'm not sure if you have kids or not, but when I send my kids, overseas for studies, I want to make sure that place is safe for them. I want to make sure there won't be any gun shooting here and there. That's the number one thing about Canada. Another thing is, I spent a couple of years living in Australia, but why did I go back there? Because I found Canada the most culturally inclusive country in the world. I used to work as a flight attendant. I had a chance to fly all over the world. I loved Canada the most because it is very, indeed, inclusive, culturally inclusive. Another thing is, Australia, do you want Australian accent? Maybe you can, notice some Australian accent in my English, but a lot of people don't really, like Australian English, because of that accent. America, safety is an issue. The UK, well, there are issues in each country. We can talk about that in details maybe later at lunchtime, but usually I put everything on the table. And the parents would say, I think Canada is the most appropriate country for my students to live in, or to study in. Yeah. So I don't want to say publicly, what's wrong with other countries, but maybe, personally. Yeah. Any other questions? Sorry, I've taken a lot of time. So, yeah. More?
Congratulations. First of all, congratulations on your transition from Hong Kong to Canada, calling this your home. You've actually represented the Asian woman entrepreneur significantly, and very good job there. First question is, there's a lot